Hello, it's John Pollock, and this is Fight News Now, the MMA edition. Hello and welcome to Fight News Now. I'm your host, John Pollock, and for the next 30 minutes, we are getting you informed on everything in the world of mixed martial arts. As always, we're going to hear from John Ramdeen and Robin Black on 3 rounds as they get you set for UFC's return to Fox this Saturday. It's the return of Wolverine on the shift, and we have a ton of guests coming at you on this week's Newsmakers. Demetrious Johnson will look to make the second defense of his flyweight title in the main event of this Saturday's card on Fox as he meets 29-year-old Phoenix native Johnson-Moraga. It is the second time the flyweights will headline on Fox, and we take a further look at this Saturday's main event.
In March of 2012, the UFC officially kicked off their brand new flyweight division with a 4-man tournament, pitting Joseph Benavidez against Yasuhiro Arashitani and Demetrious Johnson against Ian McCall. When the dust settled, Mighty Mouse claimed the strap with a decision win over Benavidez at UFC 152. However, the UFC hasn't exactly pushed the division since then. Mighty Mouse is the only UFC champion who has yet to headline a pay-per-view, and some have wondered if he ever will.
Mighty Mouse has been on a lot of big cards. Again, he's going to fight on Fox again. We're in the building phase of that division, so the answer to that is yes.
While Johnson has had the honor of competing on many major cards, his opponent Johnson-Moraga has not. In fact, Moraga has yet to see even a TV slot in his 2 fights in the promotion, with both of his bouts opening the show on Facebook. Because of this, many fans may not be familiar with the Arizona native. In his first bout with the UFC, he knocked out Ulysses Gomez in the first round with elbows and punches, and in his sophomore effort, he bested fellow top 10 flyweight Chris Carriazo by guillotine.
Johnson-Moraga possesses, great skills. He throws great combinations, but as far as me, when it comes to my training and preparing for fighters or fights, we don't bring nobody in to emulate my opponent, or we don't go out and seek information on my opponent. We just train hard, and I believe in my trainer partners and my coaching, and that's what we've done and hasn't let us down yet.
That preparation may not have failed Mighty Mouse in getting wins, but he also has not finished an opponent in the flyweight division, with all of his wins coming by decision. This has led many to speculate that this may be why the champ is not headlined a pay-per-view.
Ben Henderson has had fights that have gone to decisions, controversial decisions. Demetrious has gone to decisions. As long as it's an exciting fight, there's all different styles of fighters. Some guys go in there and they knock people out. Some guys pull off submissions, and some guys, go to decisions but have exciting fights. Like I said, the last fight with Demetrious was an awesome fight.
In that fight against John Dodson, Johnson was dropped early, but made a comeback in the later rounds, showing off what might be his strongest asset, his cardiovascular conditioning. Probably the thing that I've been working on most is cardio, making sure I'm able to go hard for all 5 rounds. That's what I think he's shown is his best fighting ability or whatever, that he tires people out. So that's not going to happen on the fight. On Saturday night, the flyweights will once again be the focus of the UFC. Will the frenetic pace of Mighty Mouse once again prove too much for his challenger, or will Moraga's finishing ability crown him the division's second champion?
For Moraga, this is a major leap up the card. As noted, his previous 2 UFC bouts opened up on Facebook. Will we see a new flyweight champion crowned? We asked our panel of experts to weigh in on Johnson versus Moraga.
I like Johnson as a champion, but I also like Moraga.
Johnson, always go with Mighty Mouse.
There's a certain way that Moraga could fight DJ and beat DJ. He's tough, man, and he's actually one of the bigger 25ers out there. I've trained with him in the past. I've even wrestled him in the past. He's got great fundamentals of everything, striking and wrestling. The thing is, DJ keeps getting better, and he's making adjustments in his game, knowing that people are trying to adjust to him. They grinded Dodson out. That's the thing that DJ has in the division that nobody can really keep up with, is that grind, in my opinion. He's got a crazy, crazy pace. He never gets tired. He's got an iron will, doesn't quit. He got a real championship spirit. I'm gonna call that one a toss-up. I'm not gonna choose a winner in this until I watch more tape on both of them.
A big welterweight bout will also go down on Fox Saturday night with the 14-01 Rory MacDonald taking on 29-6 Jake Ellenberger. The Omaha native Ellenberger has gone after MacDonald verbally in interviews and online, and we once again check in with the pros for their predictions on this welterweight affair.
He's a big boy. He's like the babyface assassin to me. I mean, he goes up there, He's always intense. He's always going hard.
I think MacDonald's a little bit more cleaner with his technique. Ellenberger has the tools to give MacDonald a run for his money.
Obviously, we've seen a lot of tape of Ellenberger and what he's capable of. He's a killer in the first round. He's a killer all around, but I mean, in the first round, he's been shutting the lights out on a lot of people, including me.
I think Ellenberger has the tools to force MacDonald to stand with him for as long as he wants.
They got to work on distance control, making sure that Rory's out of that power range.
Ellenberger's going to be able to stuff the takedowns and use his power to really force MacDonald to strike with him. Ellenberger, he throws heat, man. He throws heat. I'm going to go Ellenberger on that, man.
Rory's in there. He's capable of winning anywhere he looks at this fight. You just got to be smart about it.
I'm going to choose Ellenberger in this fight. It's a tough one to choose, but I think he's got the tools.
From 170 pounds, we jump up to the 205-pound champion in Jon Jones, who looks for his record-setting 6th title defense on September the 21st against Alexander Gustafsson. When Jones was in Toronto recently, we spoke to the champion about the state of the light heavyweight mix and the potential of future challengers emerging over the next few months.
There's Gustafsson, there's Glover Teixeira, there's Phil Davis. That's really the top 3 names that come to mind as far as fresh competition that I haven't fought yet. Obviously, Lyoto Machida, he's always dangerous, and he doesn't seem to want to drop weight, or he's not going to be gaining much weight, so he's going to be around in the division for many years too. So, yeah, Machida, Davis, Teixeira, these guys are here.
And speaking of Mr. Wonderful, we recently caught up with Phil Davis, who is getting set to return to the octagon on August the 3rd with a big fight against Lyoto Machida in enemy territory in Brazil at UFC 163. We posed the same question for Davis in terms of breaking down the 205-pound division.
I think I match up well, but no reason to talk silly talk until it's time to fight. I don't even like mentioning another guy's name until we are actually going to fight. My job right now is to get ready, fight this guy Machida. He's out there drinking pee. I gotta come up with an answer for that, okay? Until I can come up with an answer for that, I don't even want to talk about Jon Jones.
One of Davis's teammates, Dominick Cruz, has had one of the worst streaks of bad luck in recent memory. Cruz has not fought since October of 2011, but remains the official bantamweight champion. It was in 2012 that Cruz injured his knee while training for a 3rd fight with Uriah Faber, and as an opponent, he is more than willing to fight again one day.
Me and Faber respect each other, but we just don't like each other. I think that's the best way to put it. There's respect in fighting ability, but I don't think that there's a lot of respect in the way that we look at each other as human beings outside of the cage. I just don't like him as a person. I think he's a turd. I know him outside of how he acts around everybody else. If you go and hang out with me at a club, you're going to get who you're talking to now. If you hang out with Faber, you're going to get somebody completely different. He's a salesman, and he's good at it.
The entire combat sports world is bracing for one of the biggest nights in boxing history on Saturday, September the 14th, when Floyd Mayweather Jr. will meet Saul Canelo-Alvarez in Las Vegas, Nevada. The 2 undefeated fighters are hopeful of smashing a number of business records that night as we take a closer look at this collision of 2 generations.
That's what we did. We took Canelo, we put him on our undercard, let him slowly build his name. We finally let him get to the pinnacle. And guess what we're going to do?
Canelo is a young, strong champion. He knows he's facing the best. He knows that he's not facing a drought. I mean, he knows he's facing. When you facing Floyd Mayweather, you're facing the best. The only thing I want to do, like I said before, is fight the best. They got out there. He's a young, strong champion, and I will be ready September 14th.
Sean the Punisher Pearson made his octagon debut back in December of 2010, and since that time has amassed a record of 4-2 inside of the UFC. He is currently riding a 3-fight win streak, and the UFC has made sure to keep Pearson in the welterweight fold by signing the 37-year-old to a new contract.
What I've been doing so far, Joe Silva and Dana White hasn't gone unnoticed, so I got 4 more fights with the UFC. Nothing's ever secure. If you go on a losing streak, you go on a losing streak, but so what I've done so far, I guess it's been noticed, so I got 4 more fights. I'm happy about that, and move on with my career.
And finally, we hear from Brandon Vera, who back in 2008 made the cut down from heavyweight to the 205-pound mix. Since that time, Vera has gone 4-4 with 1 no contest and is now returning to the heavyweight division on August 31st, following a year-long sabbatical since his last fight.
Man, I like to eat, man. I miss eating rice. I miss eating whatever I want. I'm tired of going out, having to pick what I'm supposed to eat, being home, and having to pick and choose what I can eat. You see my striking at the 205 division. Not too many people at the 205 division was able to hit me. Shogun was, yes. Shogun did. nobody else can really hit me while I'm on my feet, so I'm looking forward to striking with the big guys and using my speed as a formidable weapon.
And joining us right now is John Ramdeen. And John, whenever a guy is returning to the heavyweight mix, the reasoning of I like to eat, I don't know if that should always be the bigger priority.
Yeah, it's true, but I mean, hey, as big guys, we like to eat. That's the way it works.
But you've come down in weight classes over the years.
But I'm sure I'll go back up.
Well, you'll see. The Brandon Vera of Fight Network right here. What is coming up on 3 rounds?
John, August is a loaded month for the Ultimate Fighting Championship. We break down a number of fight cards, including a fight featuring one of the pound-for-pound best.
Who is it? Find out on 3 rounds on the other side when Fight News Now continues. Welcome back to Fight News Now. It's John Pollock with you, and we now transition over to John Ramdeen and Robin Black for another installment of 3 rounds. And guys, this Saturday, the UFC returns to network television, and you two, not strangers to network television at all.
No, this guy's the real superstar.
Look, we're the Hall & Oates of Canadian mixed martial arts television. Unfortunately, I'm Oates.
Are you the man-eater as well?
No, I'm not, sir.
Robin, UFC has 4 cards coming up in August. The Lightweight Championship of the World taking place on August 31st. Ben Henderson battling Anthony Pettis in a rematch from their days in the World Extreme Cage Fighting Organization. Martin Kampmann rematches Carlos Condit in a fight I don't necessarily know if this needs to happen, but we take a look at the 2 fights that are happening earlier in the month. The UFC Featherweight Championship of the World on the line. Jose Aldo taking on the Korean Zombie. Again, the betting lines have Jose Aldo the favorite just because he's one of the pound-for-pound best. Very few holes in his game. 26 years of age, an absolute phenom, holds wins over Uriah Faber and Mike Thomas Browne, Mark Hominick. The list goes on and on. This guy is really at the top of his game right now.
Yeah, you know, there's a lot of fights where current and seemingly unbeatable champions are defending their title coming up. And, you know, you'd be better betting on Johnny Hendricks, I think, than the Korean Zombie, at least on paper. But, you know, we talked ourselves into liking this fight this week. The Korean Zombie is one of these guys that would be easy to underestimate if you were Aldo and his team. You saw what he did to Mark Hominick, one of the great fighters at 145 pounds. In the fight right after Aldo went the distance from Hominick. I know it's MMA math, but I mean, it's one of these guys who is very exciting. The fans love him. He believes he's unbeatable. He believes it's his time. I don't know, man. It's a weird one.
I want to take a look at the ground game of both of these guys. We saw the Korean Zombie get that twister over Leonard Garcia. We've seen him use a multitude of different chokes. Got a Darce choke in the past. For Jose Aldo, everybody says, well, he comes out of Team Novo. Yeah, you know, his jiu-jitsu game is going to be great, but we really didn't see that in this fight with Mark Hominick. What do you anticipate if this fight does go down to the ground?
You know, it's really interesting when you talk about the Novo Now guys. They're all, you know, black belts of the nth degree, and they have been for so long. But mixed martial arts is a game of placing your chips where you need them. And these guys have got so good at takedown defense. They've got so good at shaking off that single leg and defending that double leg and getting, you know, underhooks against the cage. They got so good at that they concentrated on smashing you in the face with their fists and their knees. Now, that doesn't mean they've neglected their jiu-jitsu, but they certainly can't possibly have been training it at the same level they have throughout their careers. It's impossible to get better at wrestling, better at striking, and better at jiu-jitsu, or else everybody would be a 10 out of 10 in everything. So you got to figure there's been at least some neglection there. But I mean, the Korean Zombie, his biggest strengths standing on the ground, even in interviews as a guy, as an entertainer, his biggest strengths is his unpredictability.
Also, a big factor in this fight is Jose Aldo has gone 5 full rounds 4 times in his UFC career or WEC career. So I don't know if the Korean Zombie is going to be able to handle the type of pace that Aldo is going to be able to do in that 4th or 5th rounds. And we'll see that the Brazilian is definitely going to be dangerous in those later rounds as well as early in the fight.
So what do? You're the Korean Zombie. You're going to look at it, you know, logically. You're his team, you're his people, and you're saying, what do? You got to go for broke. I mean, you got to think that's what you're going to do and really go for it. Be unpredictable. Lay it all out there. You got a crazy chin. You're willing to exchange. You're willing to take damage. Go for broke. And in those fights, anything can happen.
Jose Aldo's fellow countryman also fighting on that card, Lyoto Machida, the former 205-pound champion, taking on Phil Davis, a guy that a lot of people are really high on. 11-1, his only loss coming from the former UFC champion Rashad Evans, and of course he holds a victory over Alexander Gustafsson. But I like Lyoto Machida in this fight. This guy is phenomenal. He throws people off with his timing. Joe Rogan called it the Machida era, and since Shogun defeated him, that all went away. But Machida's timing, his ability to draw fighters into his game, I think is what makes him exceptional. You add to the fact that he truly is a world-class martial artist and is always trying to evolve every area of his game. That's what leads me to believe that he will emerge victorious in this fight, and I think he'll probably get a stoppage.
Yeah, this is a pretty interesting one. You know, how's it going to look as a fight? Hard to say, but how they match up is really interesting. You've got Davis, who at times has looked brilliant as a dominant wrestler. Look at the wingspan on this guy. This is just a massive, powerful man with a huge wrestling pedigree who can grind you into the ground, but other times he's looked really ordinary. And Machida, on the other hand, went through his career where people called him boring, and then he knocked a few guys out, and then he became a millionaire, and now he doesn't care what you call him. He will draw you in and draw you in, and if it takes him 14 and a half minutes to get you to go for broke because you know that he's beating you on points, and he'll finally drill you with a straight right hand, he'll do that. He'll find a way to win this fight, and he, to me, and I think we've discussed this in the past, I think he's still the only guy standing, walking the earth, who's got a chance of beating John Jones because of how different he fights.
I have to agree with you. Coming up August 17th, the UFC Fight Night 26 features Shogun taking on Chael Sonnen in the main event in Boston. People say that Shogun, you know, his wrestling just isn't where it needs to be. Is that the game plan you believe for Chael Sonnen? Sonnen use that overhand right, get inside, put this fight down to the ground, and try to just grind him from top position.
Totally, man. And you know what's interesting? He hasn't bothered with really trash talking him, going after Brazil or anything. The guy
he does respect him.
Yeah, he does, because he is a legend. And Chael Sonnen, on the other hand, he's a broadcast journalist now. He doesn't need to entertain you with goofy stuff, and I kind of miss that, to be honest. But, you know, if you're at Sonnen, you got a clear-cut path to victory. You drill him, overhand left, throw the right and follow it in, and just take him down and grind him out and mash him up. The issue is Shogun is dangerous in every minute.
Heel hooks.
Yeah, all the way through. From the ground, he's dangerous standing. He'll get back to his feet every round starts standing. I mean, he's going to have lots of opportunities. If he wins, Sonnen's unconscious. If he loses, it's a decision, and he's taking a bit of a beating from the top position.
In the co-feature, two heavyweights collide as Travis Browne takes on Alistair Overeem, a man that had a lot of hype until Bigfoot Silva kind of derailed him and Travis Browne. A great fight. You look at those common opponents, the common opponent being Bigfoot Silva. Travis Browne got hurt. Yeah. Bigfoot Silva stopped him. Bigfoot Silva just stopped Alistair Overeem, I think stunned the entire world. Yeah. So who do you give the edge to in this fight? Is Alistair Overeem's confidence a little shaky going into Boston?
Yeah, it's do or die for Alistair Overeem, man. We all got really excited because this Adonis of a man came to the UFC who's got crazy striking, crazy knockout power, the kind of guy everybody likes to see fight. And then he kind of crapped the bed a little bit. He hasn't looked spectacular. He, you know, there's been issues with his testosterone levels, which affects confidence. You know, he's failed some drug tests. So we'll see. Travis Browne is the future. I think Travis Browne, there's an opportunity for him to cement that.
Travis Browne, well trained, coming out of that Jackson Winklejohn camp in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Just a real athlete, you know, Hawaiian background, tough as nails, John. So I think this fight, you know, a lot of people could call it a pick'em, but I have to lean towards Travis Browne. I think he hits hard, and I don't think Alistair Overeem's going to expect the type of power he's going to be able to dish out.
The Hall and Oates of combat sports.
Oats.
Everything your heart desires. Thank you, guys, and you can catch the expanded 5 rounds with John Ramdeen and Robin Black each and every Monday night at 7 Eastern right here on Fight Network. We're going to take a short break, but Priscilla Caripan is up on the other side with this week's edition of The Shift, plus your weekly viral video, all still to come as Fight News Now continues. Welcome back. It's John Pollock here on Fight News Now. We're sending things over to Priscilla Caripan right now with this week's edition of The Shift.
Adamantium claws and a healing factor. A master martial artist. I'm talking about James Howlett, but most of you know him as Wolverine. The much anticipated movie is loosely based on Frank Miller's run of the Wolverine, which came out in 1982. Just like in the comics, he travels to Japan where he faces a Silver Samurai. But there's a twist. Logan becomes mortal. Hugh Jackman and the cast give us the scoop about the film. Let's take a look.
I've been trying to find the Wolverine for over a year.
That's not who I am anymore.
It's kind of this wonderful Technicolor dream of Japan.
My employer wants to say thank you for saving his life.
A world of Yakuza, ninja, silver samurai, industrialists, intrigue, crime, mystery.
The characters and the storyline is enigmatic. You're not exactly sure who anybody is. Wolverine, the way I've always portrayed him, is a street fighter, pub brawler. You know, it's not pretty. He doesn't want to hang around and jab at you while he just wants to take your head off in 3 seconds and move on.
He's a loner, he's a wanderer, he's strong, sexy, he's kind of animalistic.
Wolverine is the ultimate outsider. He marches to the beat of his own drum.
One of our goals with the fight stuff in this film, with the fight action, is that we wanted to make this about great fights.
It was really physical. It was a challenge, but it's so much fun.
In almost all the cases, our actors are doing 90% of the action you see on the screen.
I trained for karate, kata, and some knife throwing, and I never done any martial arts, or even I don't work out so much myself, so it was very hard at the beginning. I was like, I don't think I can do this.
It's really exciting. It's complex. This is the best version of Wolverine there is.
A man can't run out of things to live for.
This week's tweet of the week comes from Sylvester Stallone, who says, Ronda Rousey will show championship form in Extendable 3. So will multi-champion Victor Ortiz. Well, that's it for the shift this week. Let's send it over back to John.
Thank you, Priscilla, and that brings us to our final segment of the show, and it's always a favorite as it's our time for the weekly viral video, and check out what we dug up for you this week.
Oh!
He's going to need stitches right above his eye. And that wraps up this week's edition of Fight News Now. I want to thank our guests, including Jon Jones, Dominick Cruz, Brandon Vera, Phil Davis, and Sean Pearson. Don't miss 5 Rounds. It airs each and every Monday at 7 Eastern. And this week, Demetrius Johnson will be chatting with me on the MMA Report Thursday afternoon at FightNetwork.com in the podcast section. On behalf of John Ramdeen, Robin Black, Priscilla Caripan, and the Fight Network crew, I'm John Pollock, and enjoy the fights this weekend.
Undisputed UFC flyweight champion of the world.